take questions?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Are you a Christian?
Yes, I am. Very much so. Thank you. I was raised Catholic, and I go to Christian church all the time. And my wife is a Christian who drives around, helps homeless people, and hands them either a copy of the Bible or lots of other of the good word, prays over them. She literally the other night, I don't talk about my wife enough because she is an angel. She literally the other night, and she posted this on her Facebook, and Diane can attest to this because we talked about it on the way here. I had just gotten home from a 15-hour day, and she said, this friend called me. She knows someone in the hospital in Tucson. It was a little boy who had cancer. It was not looking good. She went down there that night. They prayed over him, and he went home the next day.
Cancer-free.
Cancer-free. Jeff Weninger, again, I don't talk about her enough. I would not be where I am without her. Very strong woman next to me. Yes, sir.
One of the things that I'm really concerned about, we have a government, a national government that has taken over everything. We're no longer the United States. We're being run on every facet, whether it be local or state or county government, everything we run into a federal regulator. And we've got to get rid of that. We've got to get back to governing our states and coming together on national issues. But everything is a national issue anymore. The federal government owns more land of our states than we do.
Which is
It's got to
unconstitutional.
stop, and we got to start now.
You're exactly right. And BlackRock, which is talked about buying all these properties up, is one of those ESG strangleholds. They took Texas's share. I read an article about this. So you invest in these companies and stocks, and they control it. And one of the bills running this year that the treasurer didn't weigh in on and that we were working on trying to get through, and we're a couple of Republicans short, one of the amendments in there said, you could not use our shares of a stock to vote for us. Because what they did is they used Texas's stock in Exxon and used their voting shares, from what this article said, and put in a couple very, very left-wing anti-oil and gas people on Exxon's board. They're attacking us from every direction, and to me, you need a problem solver. I mean, as a restaurateur, I solve problems every day. I have 90 employees. I deal with minimum wage. I deal with all these things. I deal with solving problems. One quick thing I do want to say, because somebody brought up about the high cost of these things. I do have a bill, and it's in the Senate right now, and I've been talking to the president trying to get it out of rules. Has anybody in here ever owned a condo in Arizona? Okay, you might be shocked to know that in Arizona, because of a law from the 1980s, say there's 100 condo owners, there's 100 condos there. If a company, and this is what happens, the company out of Chicago, sorry, anybody's from Chicago, but the scumbag company from Chicago is coming into Arizona, they're buying up 80%, so say 80 homes out of 100 condos. Arizona law says they can force those other 20% to sell them their condo. It's essentially a private eminent domain. I have a bill this close, being able to get rid of it in the Arizona Senate. I just got to push it through. It's insane, but there's 100 things like this that affects all these different things. I'll fight for them on every issue. I'll say, come after me, federal government. We're not going to do any business with banks that don't allow, that don't process gun payments. We're done. But we need somebody tough who's going to stand up and tell Bank of America that and say, we're going to pull all our money out of your bank if you're going to do that.
Yep.
And I will. Yes.
You triggered something in my mind, and I don't know, I should know this, but who would be over like the state lands, the state-owned land that we could probably maybe get changed into private?
Yes, so the land commissioner, runs that, but then we handle the investments. So when there's a sale, the treasurer's office handles the investments of those sales and that money. So they manage the money, but the land commissioner manages the land.
So who do
But
they answer to?
the legislature and different laws and different things like that. But I know what you're talking about, the privatization, being Mr. Fitcham and different legislators talked about this for a while. Go to sometime if you haven't and Google citizen-owned land in Arizona or state and federal-owned land in Arizona, and then pull up the copy of the maps. You'll be astounded.
Yeah,
We hardly have control
Yeah.
of any of our land.
it's all checkered and
Yeah.
that's broken up.
Utah's the same way, and and then they keep taking more and more.
And they're limiting us more and more. You know, I go visit my parents down in Maricopa. I brought a couple rifles to go sight in before I go hunting down there. And they've got it posted up with brand new signs and stuff everywhere that there's no shooting on our land.
Right. Yeah, it's.
I don't know how to, go about trying to fight that.
We need someone like President Trump. I know President Trump was looking at that. I talked to some people who had talked to their people about looking at that, and when he gets back in, we definitely need to look at that more. Yes?
How do you feel about the current distribution of funds and how are they distributing the funds?
Well, the Treasurer's Office is responsible for the investments, of investing the money, but it's also distributing the funds that come through the budget. And you time it, and you have short-term investments and different things to push that through. It's kind of, you can't refuse to send money to, different places. That's for the legislature or them to do. There's a lot of good people at the Treasurer's Office. I don't necessarily have a problem with the employees at the Treasurer's Office, except for maybe one. They're good people who've done good from when Governor Ducey was treasurer to Jeff DeWitt, who was a great treasurer. My problem is with the leadership at the top, because I think it's absent. I don't even think that the treasurer's in the office more than a couple times a week. I can't prove that, but I know people who know where the car's parked, and they said it's never there. And so I will be there every day. There's days that maybe I travel here and we talk to different people about investments, but I will commit to having a public calendar so I'm accountable and transparent, which is a big thing for me, where I'm out there working for you. It's too long that this is just an office that people don't really pay attention to, and hey, you didn't lose, $1 billion, so just by default, you should be doing a good job. The employees should be there, it should be transparent. Even if you look at something like a month and a half after Kimberly Yee announced for governor, they started 10,000 radio and TV ads all across the state, championing the 529 plan, which is educational, that's great. But a month and a half after you run for governor, 10,000 ads, and I hadn't been able to get to where the funding came from, and so we put out something saying, taxpayer money should not be going to essentially politicking. And they say, hey, he's wrong. This comes from the 529 providers. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe you don't think that's worse. I can't believe you don't think it's worse that the people who are making money off of this are essentially paying for commercials for you to be out front. So I will be present. There's some great professionals there. I'm not denouncing them at all. And hopefully the legislature can keep the budgets low, and we can keep cutting taxes. I don't know if you saw today that the court upheld, Wendy, I'm sure you were excited, upheld the tax cut, the flat tax, and threw it out and 2/8. So we're looking really good, and it's going to have low taxes and try to keep things going for Arizona. Yes?
Well, I heard that when everything's reset, like when the new currency comes in and all that, do you know about that? The banks are going to close, and it's going to take a lot of people by surprise, because this is what I've been studying a little bit.
Yeah, I hope that's not the case. There's talk of a state-issued, a U.S.-issued digital currency. I will fight that with every ounce of my being, because that's just where they're going to control.
There's the good and the bad. There's the bad reset. There's the bad reset that these corporations and BlackRock and all these people that own all this money and have a lot of power are talking about. But then there's the good over here, and the good reset is going to be for the people. And I feel like there's a battle. Like there's like the good people would we don't. I hear about it because I do some research on it, and I know that they want to reset things
we've seen how that went with COVID, when people think that they're looking over us for our good.
Right.
And I won't put up with
those
that.
are the bad people.
Exactly.
Those are the, but there's a bad, but there's the good too.
Well, let me put it this way. I will never invest digital currency, in, as treasurer, but there is good digital currency. It's freedom if you think about it. You want a state or a federal digital currency, but when they took those truckers' money, they also got into those Coinbase accounts and they got into what they call the exchanges. But people who had private wallets and had their digital currency on private wallets, they can't get to that. That is freedom. That's decentralized, where the government cannot get to that money. So I definitely, and there's talk of this reset, and that's what triggered me with this, with the money system and going to a digital currency that the U.S. issues, and I am 100% against that, because that's like when they were going to switch out money. I remember 30 years ago, they were talking about switching out the dollars and doing something else. Well, you're going to give them $10, and they give you $9 worth back, or whatever the new thing is. You can't trust them, but you have to, like you said in this great reset, we've talked about a ton of issues between all three of us tonight. We need warriors championing all those issues, because what they do is you're looking over here and they're sneaking two other things over here, ESG and these different things. So we all have to be aware of it all. Thank you, Jeff Weninger.